Hi, it's Kim from Expressions of the Universe. Welcome back to my channel. And this is the stars and cards for August 2025. I know it's been a couple of months. I haven't done one of these since May of 2025, and I've just needed to take a beat, take a breath, and step away for self-preservation and so that I could stay grounded during these crazy volatile times within the world. And I just thought it was best that I do that for myself. So, and to spare all of you the despair, because I know so many of you have been messaging me over the summer asking, when are these energies going to let up? When are the planets going to relax? And guess what? They're just not. We really kind of have a couple of years of this volatility, big changes. So many planets changed and entered into new signs this year. They are in the process of retrograding back into their old signs. So we're kind of in that reprieve and retrospect right now. Um, and they're going to take a look back to last year before they fully move forward at the beginning of 2026. So this is really a regrouping time. I thought this would be a good idea for me to do a quick card pull just for the collective and to see what's going on for the month of August before I get in to the presentation with the astrology and the cards for all zodiac signs. So let me just do this real quick. I have here the Light Seers Tarot deck. I can't remember the person who designed these, but these have been a favorite of mine for the last year. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to also use Black Moon Astrology cards to see which planets these cards are saying that we need to focus on before I actually look at the astrology charts. So, let's see. I can't even get my hands around this. I hope you're all enjoying your summer. For some of you in the Southern Hemisphere, you would be going into your winter. I believe I heard today that Australia got some snow. There have been earthquakes everywhere, which I think I'm going to come back for September's forecast. Hopefully, I can do it early so that we could talk about seismic activity, tsunamis, weather-related things. Maybe I can do a separate video. We've lost a lot of people, a lot of celebrities. We've lost, even in our personal lives, a lot of our pets and our beloved family members. So it's been really a volatile year for many of us. And it's been difficult, I think, for a lot of us just to keep our ground and keep our sanity going. All right, so let me lay these out and then, oh. Okay, so let's see. In the position of what's at the forefront, we have the 12th house is showing up. So it wasn't even any planetary cards that are coming up. The 12th house symbolizes our own self-undoing, our own sorrows, imprisonment, hospitalizations, health-related things, past life things, things coming back from the past. This is an area of our lives that can be overwhelming, but it yields a greater cause and a greater power when we really fully embrace that 12th house. So this is just saying to me that as a collective for the month of August, we are really in that place of despair, possibly isolation, illness. So if you have been overly worrying about things, really in that lower vibration, you could be making yourselves ill. This is also a place of a lot of self undoing for a lot of people. Now, the underlying thing that's coming up is Gemini. All right, so this could be symbolized by a person or an energy. This is information and news and communications and children, which we're seeing a lot of all over the world. There's so much involved with this. This is also transportation, our neighborhoods, our communities. And I feel like this is symbolizing a specific person. Now, it could be me because I am a Gemini, also a stunt girl. But I'm thinking of one Gemini in particular that is coming to the end due to their own self undoing. And what I'm hearing from my guides is hospitalization, illness. So pay attention to the news. We're going to be hearing a lot of information coming out about those topics. Now, what's in the position of the past, it's the Gemini card. So I have a double deck here, but the Gemini card is also showing up in the past. So this is something that has been in the news, in the forefront, um, in our everyday lives for quite some time, but it's leaving. It is an energy that is leaving. And so things should be turning around. And what is coming for us is the Taurus card is coming up. Now, when I think of the Taurus card, it makes me think of earth sign, groundedness, our values, our self-worth. But it's also prosperity and money and what people find to be of importance that brings us our self-worth and value. And of course, you know, money is related to that a lot because a lot of people tie their self-worth to money specifically or the things that they have. This is about a time of healing. This is a time of groundedness, the return of prosperity. And also, this is like a check yourself before you wreck yourself. What are your morals and values? Like, I think that's really prominent in the world and in the news because we're seeing a lot of people that are just so morally bankrupt or corrupt. And if you're not seeing it that way, then maybe you should take a little look in the mirror. Let me sip my coffee on that note. Now, for the tarot cards, I'm going to lay these down over top of the cards that I just pulled. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So for the 12th house, we have the death card, and that's what I was talking about. Illness, sickness, death, but it's also endings and transformation that could lead to new beginnings. That underlying energy of the Gemini is coupled with the 10 of Swords, and that is defeat and sorrow It really goes hand in hand with this. Now you saw me shuffle. I did not pick these cards in advance. This is the overall reading for the month of August. We are in Leo season. Leo rules the heart. It rules the cardiovascular system, in addition to the back and spine. Um, so do we see somebody passing away, or somebody stepping back due to defeat? Whenever I see the Ten of Swords, it's like defeat, surrender, filled with sorrow. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. Now, coupling with the card from the past, or what is passing, it's the card that I recently chose for the card of the week, and that's the Four of Swords, saying it's really a great time for all of us to take a rest, especially with so many planets in retrograde, that we do need that retreat. We do need that restoration. We have to really slow it down, which is hard during Leo season because it's all about joy and vitality and creativity and children and getting out and playing and romance also. But this is saying, like, do we need a rest because it's been such a crazy year? Or do we really need to rest up because we are going to need that energy for later in the year? I don't know. Time will tell. Now, the Taurus card, what is coming for us? What is in the future? So is that September, October, like through the end of the year? The Ace of Pentacles is here, but it came out reversed. So what this is telling me, going with the Taurus card, is that we may be pinching pennies. We're going to have to take a look at the economy. We're going to have to really possibly buckle up, because the Ace of Pentacles, when it is upright, talks about prosperity, new money coming in, new sources of income. But the Ace of Pentacles reverse is saying finances are taking a downturn. Um, so I hope not, because things are really tight as it is. If you haven't noticed how everything has been going up in price, I think we're just going to see so much more of that as we get through this year. I don't know. This kind of worries me a little bit. But pinching pennies, being conservative, being frugal, and really knowing how to manage your money and your funds so that you can make the most of it. So that's what I'm getting for August. I'm going to have to take note of those cards, and we'll have to revisit that maybe next month, right? To see how accurate that was. Now, I want to go ahead and share my screen into my presentation. And this presentation took me so much longer than I expected, because I haven't done it in so long. Second. I am sorry. Just needed to make an adjustment. All right, so here are our August stars and cards. And I just realized that I didn't put down one of my favorite August events. but I will talk about it and minimize that. As always, here is my disclaimer that this content in this presentation is for entertainment, enjoyment, and folly, and the program is for informational purposes only. So the highlights of August, we have Mercury, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, the nodes, and now Chiron. I didn't even realize Chiron is also retrograde. The only planets that are not retrograde at the moment are Venus and Mars and Jupiter. So August 1st, we have Lammas or Lugnasa. However, that is the calendar celebration of Lammas and Lugnasa, usually August 1st, 2nd, 3rd. The real date depends on the astrology when the sun is in 15 degrees of Leo, and I'll talk about that in a minute. That's the cross quarter day. So kind of like, when certain holidays fall on the same day every year, but it may not necessarily be that exact day. Like, so in the United States, say, take for example, President's Day, or maybe Martin Luther King's birthday. It typically doesn't fall exactly on his birthday because they're making it, the third Monday of January. In Jewish tradition or Islamic tradition, they do base their holidays on the exact like astrological alignment, as well as the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year, that is always based on the first new moon of a new year. So that could wind up in January or February. It's the same for a lot of these turning of the wheel days. And what is Lammas and Lugnasa? It's the midpoint between summer and autumn. And so it's a world point. It's a very powerful, energetic day. And that's actually coming up on August 7th. I don't have it listed here, but I do have a chart for that. On August 6th, Mars will enter Libra, which is interesting. So this could bring a lot of inflammation to the kidneys, hormones. You could find yourself going to the bathroom a lot more. It will be important to stay very hydrated during that transit because we could get dried out and it could have a detrimental effect on the kidneys, especially if you are a Libra or an Aries. I would expect that there's going to be a lot more indecisiveness, a lot of back and forth and balancing and trying to balance out. There could be also peacekeeping or peacemaking efforts during that time. Let's hope, because it could go the other way. Mars is ruled by Aries, which is the opposite sign of Libra. And so therefore, we could have that opposition. We're going to have to see how it plays out because I got to tell you, the planets are crazy. On August 9th, full moon in Aquarius at 17. That says 17, but I think my chart has something different. Oh, you know what? I think I rounded it up here. It's actually 1659. Then August 11th, Mercury will station direct, but then we have 2 weeks in the retro shadow. On August 22nd, the sun will enter Virgo. On the 23rd, the new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees, 23 minutes. And then on the 25th, Venus will enter Leo, and that's steamy and sexy and romantic. It's really a nice, beautiful time, but it could be a little volatile. Um, I always look at Venus in Leo as like sex, very sexy and romantic. And then upcoming, and this is really important, September 7th, we have a total lunar eclipse at 15 degrees, 23 minutes of Pisces. September 21st, the partial solar eclipse at 29 degrees, 5 minutes of Virgo. And so if you have any planets within 3 degrees on either side, this will impact you the most. And so you may want to take a look at your own charts to see how that lines up. But these are going to be extremely powerful. The energies can come in a few weeks ahead of time. I'm thinking like that total lunar eclipse. We could be feeling it. And, even though the one on September 21st is a partial, it's extremely powerful because it is at the final degree of Virgo, which even adds that much more energy. Um, and also to point out that the Pisces Virgo axis is considered the health axis in all of our charts. So I don't know, maybe those cards are speaking to that with the 12th house being so prominent about illness. And we have the stars. So the cross quarter day, August 7th of 2025. I know that's a little bit difficult to see. Um, we have the mutable signs on the angles. You'll see here, oh, you know what? I thought I changed this slide out to be exactly 15 degrees. It's just slightly off. Maybe my changes didn't save because I went back and double checked, but oh well. Mercury's retrograde. So yes, we're going to have some oopsies, especially when it comes to presentations and communications. But anyway, 15 degrees is the cross quarter day. It is in the third house looking at from Philadelphia. You can see too, there is a kite in the sky. See how that looks like a kite? So we have this trine between Uranus and Pluto and Mars. That's pretty volatile. And so I know a lot of people are geared up for the Lionsgate portal on 8/8, August 8th. I feel like August 8th, that this whole time period is really volatile because of this kite configuration. We also have the opposition of Mars to Saturn and Neptune, and they are retrograde. They will be going back into Pisces soon. There's that volatility. This is also an indication with Mars in that opposition to Saturn, Neptune for with Gemini on the horizon, respiratory illness. So I don't know if possibly we could be gearing up for another type of pandemic, or some kind of, surge like early flu, something like that. So you want to make sure that you're eating well, taking really good care of yourselves, loading up on vitamin C and zinc and D3, and washing your hands is so important. There's a kind of like a little, not a pandemic, an endemic, um, going around of hand, foot, and mouth disease in small children. And I feel that it's because people have stopped like really sanitizing everything, wiping things down, washing their hands, or even using sanitizer. And so I think we need to get back into that. If the pandemic didn't teach us anything, that's one thing that I think is so super important for all of us. So, yeah, there's indication there, but kites are usually very volatile. Um, and with the mutable signs on the angles, you've got, Gemini and Virgo, Sag and Pisces. With Gemini rising, that is about the lungs and breathing and communication. I just think that it could go in so many ways with it being mutable. So just be mindful, wash your hands, don't touch your face. I think, we've relaxed a lot of our pandemic practices. I know I haven't. I still wash my hands all the time, but I guess because I have my granddaughter that I'm just so used to, like when I walk in their house, I wash my hands right away, um, type of thing. I'm always wiping things down. All right, then we have the full moon in Aquarius, August 9th. And so I have this at 16 degrees, 59 minutes. Blow up that chart a little bit so you could see it better. Once again, I mean, it's only 2 days after the cross quarter day. It's essentially only like a degree, a little bit more than a degree away from the cross quarter day. We still have that kite configuration. However, now we have more volatility, these red lines. You've got a moon in Aquarius. This is people rising up. This is the emotional, the the emotions of the collective. Um, you have almost every planet in aspect to each other, which is extremely potent. Um, and this full moon is only a little bit more than a good degree off of the cross quarter day, which is a world point. Now, if you take a look, we have the cardinal signs on the angles, and cardinal signs indicates the beginning of something, um, a new phase, a new something. And so the full moon obviously is like when we are discarding and getting away from, we're in the middle of like releasing what no longer serves. So we are preparing for some new sort of phase. Um, and every planet is involved. So I would expect that this is going to be an extremely potent and powerful time for all of us. Of course, if you have um, any planets within 3 degrees of 16 Leo, my moon is at 15. Yes, my moon is on the cross quarter day. And that's in my fourth house. So is some kind of shakeup going to happen in my home and family? I hope not. Then also too, you're going to look at the other side and look to your Aquarius planets. You will also look and see, do you have anything around 16 Taurus or Scorpio? Because then that would be a square to this full moon. Um, those would be the most potent indicators here. And then also too, air signs with Uranus and Pluto at the early degrees. So if you have anything in like early Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, And then also too, think about that Mars's early degrees of Libra. You're going to be impacted by that. Some people use up to a 10-degree orb. I say the tighter, the better. I really don't like to go outside of 3 to 5 degrees at the most. On an eclipse, it's definitely 3 degrees or less. And then, so yeah, this energy is continuing and carrying for at least the beginning of August. I think this is going to be pretty potent. This energy is going to carry until at least February. Big changes happening. And then we have the new moon in Virgo on August 23rd, and that's at 0 degrees, 23 minutes of Virgo. So if you have anything, any planets in those early degrees of Virgo, you're going to want to be extremely mindful. I would also say the late degrees of Leo, because that still lines up. So I would say 27, 28, 29 Leo up to, 3 degrees of Virgo. Also too, the mutables and the fixed signs. You'll want to be mindful, the mutables being Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Fixed signs are Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. Once again, like the full moon, we have cardinal signs on the angles. Now you can see the kite has broken away, but we still have this trine between Uranus and Pluto, making aspect to Saturn and Neptune in a sextile from either side. So that's pretty potent still. So the most important part of that energy is still carrying. And I'm surprised. Okay, so by this time, Mars is already at 10 Libra. That's why we're not seeing that configuration there. But this new moon in Virgo, especially in the second house of our values and our self-worth, also our money, is saying to me that we need a big reset in this area. And so I think it's going to be important for us to figure out what's really important to us. What are our values? What is really filling our self-worth? We may be having to relook at our budgets and, figure some things out monetarily wise. This could be new positions, new jobs, some kind of new start for a lot of people in that area. I feel like the 0 degree is the very beginning of that energy. And so I just think it's a good time for a reset. Also, too, Virgo rules our overall digestive system. So I feel that this is a really great time to possibly put into action some kind of new or improved nutritional, I don't want to say diet, but like really taking a look at our diet and how it's nurturing and filling us versus are we just eating, or are we eating, I can't even think of what I want to say. Like, are we putting nutritious food into our bodies to fuel our bodies? Or are we just eating to eat? Like, so we're going to be looking at a lot of that. And then also, too, the stomach is considered like the main brain of our body. And whatever we are putting into our stomachs actually affects our thoughts and our actual brain in our head. There's like a direct link between brain and stomach, but because the stomach is pulling in pulling in the nutrients and substance of whatever we're putting into our stomachs. When we're putting junk in, that's all we're feeding our brains. And so it really changes the chemistry of our thoughts, creating depression, anxiety, skin issues. So if you have skin issues, it's definitely directly related to your stomach. Autoimmune diseases are definitely related to our stomachs and what we're putting in. And we can change what's going on in our body by what we're putting in. And I'm living proof because I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease almost 10 years ago, and I completely changed the way that I ate. And guess what? I turned that marker off. And I know that if I'm not eating well, I will turns back on, and then I get a lot of inflammation in my body. So I'm living proof that it can be done. A lot of people will just accept the fact that they have these issues and follow protocol. I was never on any type of medication. Everything I did was by what I was eating. It turns out too that eczema, when I say, any skin conditions, turns out eczema is a result of giving babies food too early before their body can actually process it. So back when my daughter was a baby, which was a very long time ago, that's what pediatricians told you to do, like starting in on the cereal, when they're a couple months old. Um, and she suffered from eczema as a child. And so now doctors are aware that you really need to wait and allow a baby's digestive system to develop. And therefore, if you do that, you won't see those skin issues. But back then, they didn't know that. And, through the discovery of science and time, more comes out. So, anywho, that's what I think we're focusing on for that new moon. All right, I wanted to bring up these eclipses for 2025, just so that you can see, because even once an eclipse passes, even from, years ago, it still triggers these same spots over and over and over again for a certain length of time. There's a lot of theories on how long these eclipses last. I just was in a really amazing discussion this past week about a total lunar eclipse that occurred at the end of July in 2018, and that it lasted for nearly 7 hours. And so we're finally coming to the end of that energy. And I could see how it played out in my chart and in my life. These will be pretty big. I don't know how long these are going to last. I may need to revisit it. And I believe these are occurring in Asia, India, like Eastern, China, Russia, maybe Europe. Have to go back and take another look at that. I just didn't have time if I wanted to get this out, but these are going to be really potent. I feel like we will be seeing seismic activity, earthquakes, tsunamis, more flooding than we've already seen. And especially with this Pisces. Virgo would be the earth, Pisces are the waters. Okay, so then let's take a look at the financials real quick. Did my 2025 financial report, but I pulled this from there. And just as a reminder of how the planets line up to our money and our finances. So when the planets are making aspects or retrogrades, or moving into new signs, they really have a huge shift in economies all over the world. And then the nodes also symbolize financial struggles and debt related issues. And so if we take a look at August, it looks fairly quiet, but we have a lot of planets at the early degrees. Um, Venus symbolizing money, Taurus volatility, and Saturn restrictions, Uranus unexpected happenings. Neptune, since it rules oil and liquids, when there are changes there, we could see rises or falls in petroleum, gasoline, and Pluto, that's usually pretty volatile too. I only have a couple of spots marked on here. August to me, when I did this report at the end of 2024 for this year, it August looked a little quiet, but things were shifting. Um, mm, you know, I still think that we're in economically a lot of ups and downs. However, um, I feel like August is fairly quiet. And when it comes to global economies, for the most part, the summer is very quiet. And it isn't until like back to school time, September, um, when the fiscal year for many businesses is coming to an end, that people and businesses start to really look at finances and the economies. So I think that we're going to see bigger shifts in September, October. Just historically, October is typically when economies crash and recessions happen because people haven't been really paying attention during the summer months. And now it's like people are coming off vacations and they're going back to school, going back to work. And okay, now we got to take a look at the economy. What's happening and like what are we wrapping up for the year? And then that's usually when volatility hits because people are then paying more attention. So I also have September here, and I have these crosses to indicate when the eclipses are happening. So eclipses usually trigger upsets in the markets. We have when I have where I have red is volatility, and some other alignments, shifts in the economy, and it's like there's a lot of ups and downs in September. So that concerned me when I first uh, pulled this at the end of last year, and we'll have to see. And then, like I said, historically, you can go back and watch that video, my financial report, and see historically, this is when economies crash and oh, darn, sorry. The kitten just came up onto, and I messed up. I don't know where I am in my slide. Um, darn. What did he do? Okay, this, sorry. This really just messed up my whole slide. I don't know what he did. Oh, I think closed out, he closed out my presentation. I'm going to kill him. Sorry. I'm gonna kill this cat. This kitten, he's not a baby anymore. Fig, Figgy. He's getting to be such a big boy, but he is obsessed about walking across my computer screen, and it just it ruins whatever I have up on the board. So let me see if I could get back to where I was. I think that was a good ending point for the finances for August and upcoming in September. And like I said, you can go and take a look at my financial report that I posted. Can't remember if it was December of 24 or January of 25. I'm going to go back and share because I don't know what he did. I don't know. All right, so we were wrapping that up. Okay, the cards. So the tarot cards associated with August, we have Strength and the Sun, and I chose two cards for the fact that Leo is ruled by the Sun, but Strength is the eighth card in the tarot deck. Leo is the eighth zodiac sign. Well, yes, eighth zodiac sign, eighth month. And then for Virgo, it's the Hermit, the ninth tarot card. So Leo is the sun and strength. The sun rules Leo and is our vital life force. Strength is the eighth tarot card. Leo is the eighth astrological sign. The symbolism of the sun and strength is joy, success, and vitality, courage, and resilience. And then Virgo, it's the hermit. And I know you Virgos are like, what the heck, the hermit? Well, the hermit represents wisdom, and it is the ninth tarot card. Virgo is the ninth astrological sign. September is the ninth month. Symbolism of the hermit would be pursuits of inner truth, introspection, reflection, and deep thinking. And so sometimes the hermit can get so caught up in that they lock themselves away from the rest of the world. And because they know that the rest of the world isn't as perfect as they are, right? Maybe. And then, oh, I'm going to kill this kitten. The body related to Leo and Virgo. Oh, come on, Stig. Get out of here. I'm going to pull down these blinds. He just woke up from his nap. He's full of vim and vigor. He's a Libra, by the way, born on September 29th. Oh, body related to Leo and Virgo. So Virgo rules the heart, the back, and the spine. If you have planets in Leo, especially Mars, Saturn, and the Sun, or your rising sign, you will need to be, oh, I'm going to kill this kitten. You will need to be extremely mindful of your cardiovascular health. Leos do have a tendency for cardiac arrest, clogged arteries, high blood pressure, and the like. And then also with the back and the spine, you have to be really careful about the way that you move your body, how you're picking things up, because you could have a tendency to throw that out. Also, in a symbolic way, Leo can take on too much of other people's things, the burden of carrying things on your back as a weight. And that's why strength is the tarot card for Leo. And then Virgo rules the digestive system. And I talked about that and how important it is about what you eat and how it affects your overall mental, physical, and emotional health. Um, so people that would have the sun, Mars, Saturn, nodes, rising sign in Virgo could be met with autoimmune disease, digestive and stomach issues, skin disease, like skin issues, acne, eczema, psoriasis, things like that. And so you can definitely alleviate, if not eliminate, a lot of those issues by what it is you are putting into your stomach. Um, Now I have the cards for all zodiac signs, finally, right? Hmm. So when I was standing in my library trying to decide which deck is calling to me for today, this infinite wisdom of the chakras jumped out at me. And I don't think I've even ever used this deck. It was given to me by a friend. It's by Allison D. Nicola, and Dara Lawrence did the art. So this is for our chakras. Um, Says we experience life on many levels through our chakra centers, the wheels of energy and light contained in our subtle bodies. I think this is a really good time for us to revisit the chakras and clear them out. If you're not doing that actively, if you're not familiar with the chakras, they are energy centers in and around our bodies. Um, we're picking up everybody's energy, and it's so important for us to keep ourselves centered and grounded and keep our chakras open, however, also protected. So, constant meditation and cleansing for the chakras. That's one thing that crystals are great for. And you wear crystals to coordinate with the chakra that you're working on specifically. Let me just do a good shuffle. I'm going to start with Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. Cut these, and then just a random pull. I've never used this deck. These are brand new, fresh cards. All right, so Aries, suns, risings, and moons. We have the sacral chakra. And good crystals for this would be carnelian, any kind of orange type of crystal or rock. The only thing that's coming to my mind is carnelian at the time. So sacral chakra, it says water, connect to the inner dwelling place of joy and pleasure. So if you, Aries, if you have been seeing a lack of joy and pleasure in your life, also the sacral chakra is just below the belly button. And that is the place where all your creativity and your joy come from. So many times when we're in fear, we're in that root chakra and we're blocking all of the energy from rising up from that. So your focus this month is that sacral chakra, the joy, the pleasure. How can you activate that? Well, you can use carnelian, but get outside, move your body for all of the chakras, actually, um, and go and experience some joy, pleasure, creativity, and romance. That is This is Leo energy. I mean, I think solar plexus is also Leo energy, but this is definitely that Leo energy, Aries, and that's a sister fire sign. Taurus, suns, risings, and moons. You have root chakra, which is so Taurian. So, root chakra really talks about our safety, our security, our fears, which often come in the way of money and finances, our self worth, and our values that we have. This is saying root chakra, wisdom of the earth, connect with the earth as a means of realigning your energy. Perfect. Take your shoes off and get outside. That's what you have to do, Taurus, is um, so that you can really ground yourself and root yourself. Get out into the garden, go and play in the dirt. That's what you need to do in order to open up and clear your root chakra. Gemini, Gemini rules the throat chakra. This is saying this is about fertility. Aphrodite is the symbol here. Become attuned to the fertile ground within you. So here we are going back to the sacral chakra, that orange chakra right below the belly button. And so this is just reminding you that you need to fall in love with something delicious. Go and have some pleasure and joy and creativity and love what it is that you are doing, Geminis. Cancers, Cancer, you have the owl, and it's about wisdom. And this says use your senses, use all of your senses to perceive the wisdom and information you are seeking. So to me, I don't know, this feels very complete overall chakra. Like, so cancers, you need to work on all of your chakras in order to open up enough, because I feel like cancers could be blocking. Now, cancers, you do have Jupiter in Cancer for a whole year. The great benefic is in your sign for the entire year. But if you're living in that lower vibration, if you are closing off and blocking your chakras, you're not going to enjoy anything. All chakras would be affected. So that is my advice for you. Leos, happy birthday, Leos. You have the bear and protection. And this says, go inward and connect to the space of shelter and inner wisdom. You are protected. To me, that is a root chakra type of energy. But with this blue energy, it makes me think of Archangel Michael and having that bubble of blue and white light protection around you. This is the root chakra. When it is closed off or blocked, we often live in fear, fear of not having enough, fear of not being safe and protected. And so definitely working on that root chakra. I would get outside, ground yourselves, use some grounding stone. Petrified wood is what I'm hearing right now. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Virgos, happy birthday, Virgos. You have water goddess in the flow. Our true nature embodies the ebb and flow of life's pleasures. To me, with water chakra, um, this is bringing up, I mean, this is good for the Virgos because you are so earthy based that maybe this is telling you get out and go play in some water. Go to a lake, an ocean, a pond, your swimming pool, your bathtub, salt baths. But what chakra am I picking up from this is solar plexus chakra. is what I'm getting. And this is where your power house is for all of us. And so if you are finding that you feel like you don't have power in situations or control, then you want to work on that golden ray of light. Citrine is perfect for the solar plexus chakra. And yeah, I'm hearing hot salt bath would be perfect for the Virgos. Libra, you have dark goddess and grief. That feels a little heavy, Libra. Um, Now is the time for sensing grief as a gift from the heart. So, Libras, are you going through a hard time? Are there things that you have lost over this last year that now it's just maybe catching up to you? I feel like a lot of Libras have been removed or removed themselves from society. With Mars moving into Libra, you're going to be called back to action. But this is saying you need to feel your feels. Um, that green chakra is right in the center of your heart. And so this is saying, have you closed your heart off? Have you closed that heart chakra off? Well, you need to feel the emotions. You need to cry. You need to let it out. You need to feel angry. Get it out. Don't hold on to it. Don't let it linger within you. Go through the process and of, like a cathartic cleanse and let it go so that you can reopen your heart chakra. Scorpios. Scorpio, we're looking at solar plexus chakra here. Divine flow and confidence. Let go of doubt and move forward confidently. So, yeah, the solar plexus chakra, that yellow chakra, speaks of, having that confidence, that courage, that resilience to continue to plow forward no matter how many obstacles are in your way. And so this is just saying, like, get out into the sunlight, Scorpios. Allow the sun to recharge and open up your solar plexus chakra. Sagittarians. Sagittarians, we have heart chakra again, and this is deer, which equals compassion. And this says, accept everything as it is and find compassion for all in this situation. Um, so what I'm getting is, like, have your heart, try to open up your heart. You may have compassion for some things, but not all things. This is saying nothing gets excluded when it comes to kindness and compassion. I really love the symbolism for Sagittarius. The deer does remind me of Sagittarius, the centaur. And so this is talking about those green crystals, like tree agate, chrysocolla, possibly malachite is really great for heart chakra. It's very powerful. So you may only be able to take it in small doses, but if you really want to have a good cleansing of the heart chakra, there you go. But just remember, kindness and compassion for all and all things. Capricorns. Capricorn, you have throat chakra. That is those blue crystals that are perfect for opening the throat chakra. Now, the throat chakra are also our ears. So it's not just about the things that we say, but it's also taking the time to listen. So you have the wolf, and it is about communication. And it says, notice your ability to convey ideas through words and expression, but also taking the time to listen. So, Capricorns, have you not been speaking your mind? Have you not been stepping into your own truth and telling people how you really feel in a kind way. Um, and also expressing your ideas on how you think situations should go. And the wolf, just as a reminder, it's not, people always say the lone wolf, but wolves live in a pack. They need that society, they need those people around them. The blue crystals, aquamarine is coming to mind on this one. Aquarius, Aquarius, we have chakra balance and peace. So this is full body chakras from the crown to the ground. So every color in the rainbow. And this says, through energy, breathe and balance emerges the greatest sense of peace. What else can I say? I mean, it's every single color of the rainbow chakra. And I think that that would be apropos considering Pluto just entering into Aquarius this year. It's staying there even with its retrograde. It is not going back into Capricorn. Now that Uranus is in Gemini, it's making a trine to that, which you saw in the charts. There's a lot of energy coming into the Aquarius, which already has a lot of that electric energy. That could be feeling like anxiety, like there's too much overwhelm. This card is saying, in order to find that peace, you need to balance every single chakra. Last but not least, we have Pisces, and it says reflection, hero pose. I'm picking up that this is very much throat chakra. Oh, you know what? It's third eye chakra. Third eye, we didn't talk about that. And this says embark on the journey to invite acceleration of your soul's path here on earth. So the third eye chakra are dark blue colors. Lapis lazuli is really great for that. Azurite, chrysocolla, very good. Sodalite. I particularly like lapis lazuli. And this is to open up that third eye so that you can see the vision for your future and get out of your head, not even like the crown chakra, because that's where wisdom comes in. So maybe this is a combination, which would be crown chakra is amethyst is great for that. It's that purple, beautiful purple color. And so, yeah, this is talking about doing a little yoga, going into meditation, and seeing with your third eye. All right, well, that's what I have for you for the month of August. Hopefully, I can keep my act together and get September done and out for you because I feel as though the next coming months are going to be even more energy leading up to February, which it is supposed to be pretty huge. Although I am seeing a lot of crazy energetic configurations with those eclipses. And pay attention to those cards that I read at the beginning of this presentation. I really feel that that is the energy, that 12th house, the Gemini, course, the money, things coming out in the news, hospitalization, death. The death card came out. The rest and retreat card came out. Um, that 10 of swords, sorrow, defeat, surrender. So, yeah, it, it's a lot. It's heavy. It is heavy. And that's really why I have kind of stayed away. I mean, even though I've had like so many things breaking at my house that every time I would try to create a presentation or even just come on for a quick video, I had to tend to these other things. Like I kept getting pulled in other directions for the last 3 months. And I would just laugh like the universe doesn't want me making these videos, probably not wanting me to say what's on my mind. Um, about what is going on in the world. And just because I haven't said anything and I don't really post a ton doesn't mean that I don't have any feelings or opinions about what is going on in this world. Like everything feels like it's upside down, and wrong. And like it blows my mind. So the way I was seeing things, especially early in the year, and still, as always, I pick up so much energy off of people. And because everything's been so crazy, I had to like really back away so that I could block out other people's energy. And like I had to take a lot of social media breaks, and I really haven't fully been on social media because everybody is in this crazy upside down, unsure, energy, not knowing what to do with it. So I've tried to keep myself so busy as to not pick up other people's energy. So, by me being outside, working in the garden, working on the house, doing things like that, it helps me to block out other energy. So I tried to give an analogy of what I was picking up with this TV show that I used to love. And I wound up just rewatching the entire series over the past few months, called Grimm. And it was a TV show from about 10 years ago that was on NBC, I believe. Um, and you can get it on Prime for free. So if you have a membership, I highly recommend it. But they take Grimm's fairy tales, which are pretty grim, and they made a whole entire show out of this. So the premise is there's this guy who is a Grimm, and he can see the true nature of people. And he could see if people are monsters or not, or if they're good. And it's incorporated into a traditional fairy tale theme. And so that's how I was feeling. Like I could look at people, and even though they may have perfect hair and makeup and clothes and speaking sweetly, I was seeing their true nature. So like when the Grimm would look at these people, like their true face would flash. Um, and I was kind of seeing that in people. And I was really getting very discouraged because I couldn't believe how awful people were appearing to me. It's hard to explain. And maybe some of you could understand that. Like if you pick up energy, sometimes people only feel the energy. I not only feel the energy, but I can see it. And so I really kind of just stayed away from people. Like I just couldn't people. And I still am having a hard time with that. Um, and I'm actually liking my hermit type of life and just been keeping to, my family for the most part, doing what I have to do in society and then retreating back into my home. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Anyway, I hope you have a great August, and I hope that I will be back here for September's forecast because it's going to be huge. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.